Thank you for joining us. My name is Ronnie Lavi, and I'm Associate Vice President, Product Marketing at MediaMind. And I've been with MediaMind for 5 years now, and I have a big passion for online advertising, and specifically digital video advertising. But my biggest passion in life is actually basketball. I'm a big Blue Devil fan, and this was probably the sweetest moment I had this year. Growing up as a kid, I really wanted to be a basketball player. And I'm sure you all wonder what happened, right? I'm still trying to figure it out. One day maybe I'll find the answer. I remember that while playing on that team, I had this kid who was much physically smaller than everyone else. But at the same time, everyone projected a great future for him. Because he had tall parents, he had the right genes, big passion for the game, so they said he's going to be one day a big basketball player. If he can just grow up, right? And then they would say, this year is going to be the year when he actually makes that leap. And the year would pass by, and nothing will happen. Another year, and another year, and another year, and nothing, right? The kid would still be smaller than everyone else. Until one day, around the age of 16 or so, he actually made that leap and became the tallest guy in the class. But at that point, the gap between him and the rest of the team was just too big, and he never managed to fulfill his potential. He stayed on the bench. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because to me, online video is that kid. We've been talking about the online video and the potential for several years. I remember myself talking about the potential back in 2007, saying 2007 will be the year of video. And then again in 08, and then in 09, and 2010. Until actually last year, I felt that the components, different pieces started falling into place. And the budgets for online video are much bigger, and everyone is innovative and rushing to actually to do something in that space. But to me, online video is still on the bench because we're not fulfilling the full potential. 90% of what we do in online video is still site-served pre-roll, right? So I'm standing in front of you today because I want to give you a few tips and some advice on how you can take your online video to the next level. Now I'm going to give you a lot of examples and talk about many things and just talk a little bit about each one of them because what I really want to do is to intrigue you to go out of this room and explore more about online video. Okay? So the first thing that you should think about or you should allow yourself is very simple. Time. Right? Video takes time. You need to figure out your creative needs, your technological needs, creative production, ad production, but first and foremost, you want to figure out where your audience is. And your online video users are scattered everywhere. All right? But the majority or the average media plan that we see has 5 placements for online video. And they're all the usual suspects, right? ABC, NBC, Hulu. But you want to go beyond that because if you're doing that, you're pretty much limiting yourself to a very limited audience, which is also very expensive. So you want to leverage exchanges and marketplaces and video networks and maybe additional publishers that you haven't considered before. Because if you do that, you will aggregate more eyeballs at a much lower cost. So this is one thing that you should think about. And if we're talking about reach, then we got to talk about the GRP. Right? This 3-letter acronym that we all debate about. Is it right? Is it wrong? It doesn't matter. The reason we're having this debate is because we're having a depth conversation with our clients. TV advertisers are telling us they want to shift budgets from TV to online. But they really need to be able to compare apples to apples. And for that, they need the GRP. What we're telling them, oh no, you don't need that. We have your needs. We have clicks. We have conversions. We have video views. It doesn't really help, right? And maybe GRP is not the most complete metric, maybe not the most accurate metric, but it's good enough for the start. We should start building the building from the infrastructure, and then by adopting the GRP, and then iterate and improve as we go along. This would be the first step. Otherwise, we'll continue to be stuck in this debate about GRP, etc. All right? So what is that thing that you need to do after you found your audience? You need to tell the right story, right? You need to engage your audience. You need to make sure that it's relevant for them, right? That they listen to you. So bear with me for a second, thinking about this scenario. You had a long day at the office. You're going back home. You're very tired. You just want to relax. You get to your apartment. You fix yourself dinner, and then you stretch on the sofa, relaxing. And then you decide, why don't we just watch the favorite show, right? So you grab your iPad or your laptop, you browse to the website, you find the show, and you're excited, you're about to press play, and then what happens?
Imagine that the platform
Pre-roll pops
so
up,
smart
you know, you need to
that
sit
it
there for
allows
15
you to
seconds,
create
20 seconds,
and
whatever,
handle
30
a bank
seconds,
of personalized
and go through the
messages.
content.
So smart that it can dynamically version them to specific audiences. Media Mind 2, intelligent order for your marketing universe.
So you just experienced a 20-second pre-roll. How did that feel? Relevant? Engaging? Exciting? Definitely not, right? Other than brainwashing you that MediaMind has a great platform, we didn't really achieve anything here, right? And the point I'm trying to make is that pre-roll are not engaging. All right? Pre-roll is not engaging, and it's definitely understood why, because it was very difficult to do it in the past. So you could just take, you know, everyone stayed in their comfort zone. Let's just take the TV asset, repurpose it, throw it online, boom, we have an in-stream ad. But if, you know, today we actually have a scalable technology that will help you to take the TV asset and make it way more engaging than what it is. You can incorporate interactive features. You can allow the user to choose which video ad he wants to see. You can incorporate different site features and content to make a mini site inside the video player. You can also leverage the page around the ad to make it more immersive for the audience. Now there are tons of creative examples out there, and there's a lot of creative innovation around video. What I want you to really remember is that it's scalable. So the next time you think about the online video campaign, think about how can I engage the audience? How can I make it more relevant, more interactive for them? Because if you do it, the reward will be there. Online video viewers are 200% more likely to interact with an in-stream ad if it's interactive than with an interactive banner. So if we already incorporated rich media and interactivity into banners, why not do it with in-stream ads, right? Another thing that users are telling us is that 51% of them interact with an ad because it was relevant for them. And relevancy was a big issue in the online advertising space. All right? One of the solutions out there is dynamic creative optimization. How many of you are familiar with dynamic creative optimization? 1, 2, 3, okay. Basically the idea is that you can take the same creative asset, create multiple versions out of it, customize it for a specific user or specific user segment, and then target to the user segment. So that allows you to make the ad more relevant and more engaging for the user. So one basic thing that you can do is, for example, localization. You take the same video asset, and you know, if you're a car manufacturer and you target users in Minnesota, you can maybe incorporate the background of a snowy mountain. And for the guy in New York, you'll take the same ad, but incorporate the Big Apple skyline. And the girl in Arizona, she can see the background of the desert. But what's really cool is that you can actually incorporate the closest dealership to the user, where he actually is located. So you make it more relevant, more appealing for the user. A more advanced thing to do would be to target these different versions based on the user behavior, all right, based on the past interaction. If you served an ad with 3 different car models, okay, and then the user interacted with one of them, then you can just follow with multiple versions of the same car model, but with different call to action. In the beginning, you're telling the user, customize your car, learn more about it, engage with it. And then the next one is, why don't you just go out and test drive the car? And then the third exposure would be maybe a price promotion. So you're taking the user through the purchase funnel, using the same creative asset by making it more relevant and more engaging. And if you do that, the reward will be there, because dynamic creative optimization actually increases performance by more than 400%. Right? More than 400% lift. All right? So we're about 10 minutes into the presentation. We talked about how you reach your audience, how you engage them. What usually happens after 10 minutes of a video view? Mid-roll.
Imagine that the platform
A word from our
is so
sponsor.
smart that it allows you to create and handle a bank of personalized messages.
So we're running here the same ad as before.
So smart that it can dynamically version them to specific audiences.
Obviously, I'm brainwashing you that MediaMind has a great platform, right?
Your marketing universe.
So I've just brainwashed you again. MediaMind has a great platform, right? but how did you feel? Relevant? Engaging? How about repetitive, right? Repetition, repetition, repetition. And that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that the pre-roll, most of the stuff that we see online is just repetitive. If you watch a 30 minutes show, you're probably going to be hit 5, 6 times with the same video ad. Is it really engaging for the user? Not really. Is it rewarded? No. And you probably waste, if you do that, you're probably wasting your money. What you really want to do is keep it fresh. Every single interaction with your brand needs to tell something new for the user. All right? And I just showed you how you can do it with dynamic creative optimization. But what you really want to do is to complete your digital story. So you want to do it not only with video, but you want to tell a consistent and sequenced story across display, rich media, mobile, connected TVs in the future, online video, etc. So you start maybe with a simple pre-roll just to increase the awareness. And then maybe you serve an interactive unit that will allow the user to choose which video he wants to see. And then afterwards, once the user navigates to the next page, you can target with a rich media unit, which will allow the user to interact with the brand, learn more, maybe click to the site. And then after all this interactivity, you don't need more than that. You can just serve this basic display, which will just make a recall and keep the brand top of mind for the user. To do all of that, you need to integrate everything into one place, use one ad server that can do video, display, rich media, mobile. We all heard about this convergence of TV and online and display and mobile, etc. And this is a way to do it. But the greatest thing when you do that is that you actually get all the data in one place, and you can finally see the big picture. You can have, first and foremost, real-time feedback. If something works well, you can optimize towards it. If something doesn't work well, you can actually change it and fix it. All right? And then the biggest thing about the data, is obviously that you can now start analyzing the different channels. We heard today a lot about convergence of different platforms, that the lines are blurring. Mobile and tablets and desktops and laptops, etc., and connected TVs. If you have all the data in one place, it will help you to understand what's the optimal media mix for me. Do I want to put more on mobile? Do I want to put more on display? Do I want to put more on connected TVs, etc.? And it can be specifically in the context of online, of video, or it can be in the context of the entire campaign, whatever it may be. So once you have all the data in one place, you'll be able to do that. So as I said, I touched on many different things in the last 15 minutes, and I talked just a little bit about each one of them. But if there's one thing that I want you to remember, is this. The potential is out there, all right? It might be overwhelming to incorporate everything in one shot. What you really want to do is take baby steps. And the first step would be to go out and find an expert that will help you to take the next step afterwards, all right? Because as I said, online video has great potential, but we haven't fulfilled it yet. Just like that kid in my story, online video is on the bench, waiting for us to take him off the bench and onto the court and finally show the full potential. So let's do it together. Game on. Thank you, guys.